When the Tesla Cybertruck was first revealed, it was an absolute smash hit, literally and figuratively. I mean, this thing felt like the future, and more than 1 million people slapped down a deposit to get one. But if you fast forward to today, the story looks, well, a whole lot different. We're talking recalls, missed promises, and honestly, pretty disappointing sales. So what on earth happened? Okay, let's get into the epic saga of hype, engineering, and a really tough market lesson. I mean, just look at this contrast. On one side, you've got this incredible world-beating hype, over 1 million pre-orders. That's insane. And on the other side, you have the cold, hard reality of selling just a few thousand of them each quarter. The enormous gap between those two numbers, that's where this whole story lives. So how did we get from that initial explosion of interest to this? To really get it, we've got to rewind the clock back to 2019. This was a time when Tesla was just on top of the world. It really felt like a company that could not lose. And you can see just how dominant they were. They owned nearly 80% of the entire EV market. They had just survived what Elon Musk famously called manufacturing hell with the Model 3, and it came out the other side a massive success. The whole team was riding this incredible high, They felt totally invincible. And there was this one enormous, super lucrative market they hadn't even touched yet. The pickup truck. We're talking about a $238 billion a year business in North America alone. So Musk and his team, they looked at this product, a design that hadn't really changed in 100 years, and they decided they wanted to just completely blow it up. Now, here is the crucial thing to understand. This was not about market research. This wasn't about focus groups. This was about a pure, unfiltered vision. According to Walter Isaacson's biography, Musk basically told the team to let the engineers run wild. The goal was to build something radical, something that looked like it drove right off the set of a sci-fi movie, whether people were actually ready for it or not. And that pure, unfiltered vision, it led to one of the most memorable, and let's be honest, infamous product launches in a long, long time. Oh yeah, you remember this moment. The supposedly unbreakable armor glass just shatters on stage. And all Musk can say is a simple, oops. Now, whether that was a planned stunt or a genuine mistake, it was marketing genius. The buzz was deafening. It was bigger than anything since Steve Jobs pulled the first iPhone out of his pocket. And right there on that stage, they made some absolutely incredible promises that just threw gasoline on the fire. A starting price under 40 grand, a massive 500-mile range, and they said deliveries would start in just 2 years, by 2021. I mean, that was the trifecta that got everybody so excited. And, well, the hype worked. Over 1 million people, and yes, I was one of them, put down a deposit. Come on, who didn't want a truck that looked like it was straight out of Blade Runner? The public response was just overwhelming, and it really seemed to prove that Musk's crazy, radical vision was exactly what the world had been waiting for. But that high from the launch event, it couldn't last forever. Pretty soon, that incredible vision was about to collide with the very harsh reality of manufacturing. The road from a cool concept on a stage to an actual product in someone's driveway, well, it turned out to be incredibly long and difficult. So one of the first big problems was just time. When you announce a product that far in advance, you're essentially giving all your competitors a roadmap. So while Tesla was wrestling with its super radical design, more conventional EV trucks from Rivian and Ford actually beat them to the market by more than 18 months and scooped up all those early adopters. And inside Tesla, the engineers found themselves right back in manufacturing hell. That stainless steel exoskeleton, the thing that makes it look so cool, it required them to reinvent fundamental parts of car making that have been perfected over a century. That took a lot of time, and even the lead-stage prototypes were reportedly showing huge issues, things like leaks and a lack of structural stiffness. The design was just that different. Okay, so after all those years of delays and engineering nightmares, when the Cybertruck finally started reaching customers in late 2023, the world and the truck itself had changed pretty dramatically. So remember that promised sub-$40,000 starting price? It was now over $60,000. That's a 50% jump. That incredible 500-mile range, it was now 320 miles. And that 2021 delivery date, yeah, it showed up 2 years late. For the 1 million people who were in line, these weren't just small details. They were the core reasons they bought into the dream in the first place. And all 3 promises were broken. And on top of all of that, the economic world had done a complete 180. Pre-COVID, with super low interest rates, a truck like this might have cost you $1,000 a month. But post-COVID, with rates way higher, that same payment could easily balloon to $1,500. So not only was the truck more expensive, but the money to buy it was more expensive too. So you've got a higher price, lower specs, and a much tougher economy. How did the market, those million-plus people with reservations, how did they react?
Yeah, not well.
When researchers started asking people why they were canceling their reservations, it became clear it wasn't just about the price. The real problem was a clash with the fundamental truck buyer mindset. These buyers value reliability over novelty. They need practical utility for their job, for their family. The broken promises just shattered their trust. And the design, while it looked cool, raised a lot of questions about how you'd actually use it day to day. And those fears about safety and reliability, they weren't just theoretical. There were huge, widely publicized recalls for things you just don't see on other cars. We're talking accelerator pedals getting stuck and even trim panels literally falling off the vehicle while it's driving. I mean, when you're paying 80 grand or more for a truck, you expect perfection. And this was, well, it was a long way from it.
And all of this shows up in the hard sales numbers. The Cybertruck is selling just 4,200 units a quarter. At the same time, both the Ford F-150 Lightning and the Hummer EV are outselling it, sometimes by over 50%. This is a completely different universe from the 250,000 annual sales that Tesla had originally projected.
So after this whole incredible journey of hype and hardship, what's the big takeaway? What's the ultimate lesson from the Cybertruck saga? Now, it's tempting to say the lesson is just build what customers want, but with Tesla, it's always a bit more complicated, isn't it? Their entire success was built on not listening to customers, and instead creating things people didn't even know they wanted. The real lesson here might be that a strategy of radical disruption works brilliantly when you're creating a whole new category, but it can seriously backfire when you try to apply that same playbook to a 100-year-old market with really deeply entrenched values, like the American pickup truck. So, is there a way to salvage this whole thing? Well, one interesting idea that's been floated around is a pivot. Take the existing platform, the engineering that's already done, and convert it into a large third-row SUV. This could tap into a much bigger market, families who might be way more open to the wild styling and less worried about traditional truck utility.
And that really leaves us with a big question, doesn't it? Is the Cybertruck a brilliant failure? A vehicle that's just too far ahead of its time? Something that we'll all look back on as revolutionary one day? Or was it a fundamentally flawed vision from the very beginning, an expensive lesson in what happens when you put ego before the customer? That is definitely something to think about.